what's up YouTube? 3-Pedal J, and I'm in upstate New York in my hometown, and I just want to shout out the tire warehouse here in Troy, New York. They got me taken care of. I ran over something in the road and on the Jersey Turnpike, and it literally cracked and bent my rim. So I had to get a replacement tire. So I got two, because you don't just replace one. But yeah, these guys took care of me. They got me in 7:30 this morning, no appointment. Yeah, they're right here in downtown Troy. It was amazing, man. They took care of me. So if you guys are in upstate New York and you need any type of tire service done, come to Tire Warehouse. They also do 4-wheel alignments, and they do all the muscle car alignments in the area local. So just wanted to give those guys a quick shout out and let them know that I appreciate them. That being said, more to come. So we're in my hometown, my home city. It's a very small city in upstate New York called Troy, New York. It's known as the Collar City, and we are driving through downtown right now, and I haven't been here in a long time, and it looks like they have some type of farmer's market or something going on. It's pretty cool, actually. I might actually stop by and check this out later, but I want to take you to some of the places that were mentioned by my uncles. It's not a very big city, so it's not going to take very long, but the infrastructure here and the architecture here is very old, but it's kind of cool in my opinion. I really enjoy being home. It gives me a sense of calmness and a sense of peace. So just wanted to share this with you before we get into talking to my dad, which will be it will be a riot, I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure talking to my dad's gonna be funny. So I'm gonna shut up now and let's have a gander. This used to be a mall right here. This used to be called the Atrium Mall. It was an indoor mall in the middle of the city. It was amazing. It's now since closed, but I spent a lot of time in my childhood playing arcade games there. There's a church right there. I don't know if you guys can see the steeple. There's also a church right here, which I used to attend this church. This is an Episcopal church. And a lot of these old shops that are no longer shops, but yeah, this church right here. I used to go to this church right here on the left. St. Paul's Episcopal Church. I was baptized here, first communion here, and then there's another one in a little bit further north. We're heading, this is central Troy, but there's one a little bit further north, and I used to go to church there as well. That was St. John's Episcopal Church, but it's been sold and converted. So here is the exit of the bridge that my uncle was talking about, and the situation where he said he saw my Uncle Leonard come down off the bridge. So this is now open parking, but this used to be a tennis court. We're literally parking where it was a tennis court. So I want to just get out and show you guys real quick. And this is building 4 of the Taylor Apartments. This is where I grew up. This is where my Uncle Joe grew up. This is where my entire family grew up. We used to have to hop the fence and go in here when I was young, and this is where we would play football and baseball, because it was always locked. And then in this area right here where I'm at, it's all open parking now, but this was a tennis court. It's obviously gone now. I have no idea what that building is. I've never known what that building is, but it's always been there since like the 70s. But yeah, we would come off this bridge here. I actually used to play on that bridge quite a bit. We used to have, so me and my cousins, since we weren't old enough to do it, but as you can see, like, this street hasn't really changed that much. If you look all the way down, my dad and my uncles and all the locals would drag race down here. It's 2 lanes, right? Well, it's one directional, one the other way, but they would drag race down here, and then you'd have to stop. If you look, I don't know if it's showing up or not. I'll probably drive down there. It's like, it looks like it's construction, but if you look, that used to be fenced off, and it used to you'd have to stop and make a hard left turn. We're gonna drive it here in a second, but here's the spot that Uncle George was talking about, where Uncle Leonard came down. He came down, and Uncle Leonard was parked right here talking to his wife, my Aunt Marie, and Uncle George just hammered him. But if you look over here, this is an area where me and my cousins used to foot race or race our bikes down here, simulating copying our uncles and all the guys that used to race. Here's the building, man. Here's where I grew up. This is it right here. And then we had the bridge to play with. You see, there's no stoplight here. You just come, you turn around, and you go. Like, if I don't get out the way, I might get hit. Cars coming. It's pretty cool when I was young. So right here is how you turn into our parking for where my childhood was spent. And my uncles and my dad would stop the GTX and my dad's Roadrunner and the Challengers and everything else we had, and they would literally rev it up, dump the clutch, let it out, and do about 100-foot pass testing to see how the car would work here. And all of these cars that are here, there used to be cars here all the time, but it was in the 80s, it was like muscle cars. And we would just sit out, all of us. My Uncle Joe told you, we would just come out and watch. But oh, and then this is the bridge. This is the Waterville Leap Bridge. This is the Congress Street Bridge that my uncles were talking about. This is where I told the story about wetting myself from my dad and my Uncle George off of that bridge right there. It's pretty it's pretty surreal. That bridge hasn't changed very much. It's still exactly as I remember it. Everything's cool. Now that is new. That little walkway there, that never used to be there. In fact, that wasn't even open like that. But right here where we're standing at, this used to be where my grandmother and my mother would come out and hang laundry. They put these trees are very new, and you can see by the boxes here that they put these trees here, so they changed it up a bit. But this area here used to be fenced in, and we would come and ride big wheels and stuff like that around here. So this is a really cool piece of my childhood right now, and I don't know if you guys are going to enjoy this or not, but I just wanted to share it with you guys because this is kind of, this little brick project building in upstate New York helped to shape young 3-pedal J. I used to come out here and watch my dad and my uncles pull motors out of cars in this parking lot. I used to have to help my dad, my uncles pull motors out. So I'm gonna take you guys to the next spot that I spent a lot of time with my dad. Pretty much all of my teenage years, a lot of my youth before I was a teenager was spent at that first spot by the red front, and everything's close. Like, this is all within walk. This garage here is now very much decapitated, but for a very long time my dad had this garage, and this is another 2-car garage that has a much higher ceilings, and he built the RT and the GTX and a bunch of our other cars in this garage. And I used to have to come down here, ride my bike down here, and hang out with my dad and help pull cars and motors and talk a bunch of trash. When my dad had it, the sidewalks were a lot cleaner, everything was a lot nicer. But as time goes on, things change. It's kind of disappointing to see this garage like that. Like, I almost feel like I can actually walk in there if I wanted to. I'm not going to walk in there. I just want to see if it's really that bad off. Yeah, it is. Oh, somebody actually has this. Look at that. That's kind of sad. But yeah, my dad used to have this garage, and it was much nicer. Sad. There's a church. It's crazy. But anyway, I'll talk to you more now. I guess we're gonna get into the series with my pops, so stay tuned if you're still following along. Bye. Hey YouTube, here's my dad's 69 Coronet RT. He is putting it back on the road to a street car, and it still has the roll cage in it. He's got the original seats. He's got the center console back in it. It used to have a racing shifter. Everything's here. He's making it completely 100% a street car. But look, still got all that beautiful 10 work done. He's got, I don't even know what size tires are on the back of there, but he moved back to leaf springs instead of a ladder bar. And we've had this car in our family for about 25 years, 30 years. It's getting in the process of getting painted, so it's in primer right now. But at one point, this car has gone bottom 10s, full weight. So more to come. We're gonna talk to my dad about this car and some other stuff in the next series. What's up, guys? And I am here finally. I made it to upstate New York to come complete the Influences of 3.0 J series. This is the fourth and final interview with not arguably, but definitely the most influential individual in my life from the standpoint of making me a man, making me a Mopar man, and teaching me what it's like to be a Moses. So I'd like to introduce you guys to my father, Frank Moses Sr.
Hi boys, what's happening?
What's up, Dad? I wanted to I haven't even really talked too much about this. So I'm doing I'm doing a series of our family and the way I got into drag racing and particularly stick shift drag racing. You didn't know about this, and that's why it's been so hard for me to finish the series. But I talked to Uncle Joe, I talked to Uncle George, I talked to Uncle Leonard, and I gotta finish it with talking to you because in those interviews, everybody, Uncle Joe, Uncle George, Uncle Leonard, all reference you. So it's come to my attention that
I didn't do nothing.
I think it doesn't matter what I think. I'm going to ask you some questions and we're going to figure it out together. Right.
Why not?
So you're clearly my father, and I don't want to.
You sure?
Sometimes I wonder. In all seriousness,
what's your mind at?
When did you first get into cars?
I was a kid. My father had a city service gas station, and he used to go to Lebanon Valley all the time. So we used to go every Sunday.
Oh, okay.
And then when I was in high school, I went to auto mechanics class up in there, and throughout that, I started playing around with cars out in the street.
Oh.
I'd buy an old car, then it had a nice body on it. Then I go get me a motor, put the motor in the car, run it for a while, then sell it, and keep on doing that. My insurance company said, "How many cars are you going to get in 1 year?" So it just went on from there.
Okay.
And and here we are now today.
Around about what time did you start getting like serious into cars? So obviously you were 16. So what year was that, if you don't mind me asking?
I kind of like to say in the 60s.
In the 60s?
Yep.
Okay.
Just before I got into high school, so I used to go downtown on Friday nights all the time. Actually, back in when the 60s came out, the early 60s, and we used to go downtown. All the Mopars would ride around the block to block. We'd run from one side of the street to the other side, the other block, and just catch them on the other side. And we had a good time down there with that.
So has Troy always been kind of a city known for having Mopars?
Years ago, there was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was real big years ago.
So that's interesting because I was going to ask you this. Now, let me say this before I ask you the question, for everybody. I will never, ever be anything other than a Mopar guy. And I'm saying that on purpose because the question I'm going to ask you it feels weird even me thinking about it, but I got to ask you. How did we become a Mopar family? I was born into it. I didn't have a choice. Like, literally, you indoctrinated me, whether you knew it or not, into this life that I live now. And I'm grateful to you for it, and I thank you with everything in me for that. But most people are either Chevy guys or Ford guys, and a lot of your friends, your buddies that I grew up wanting to race and beat, and I still want to race and beat, are all Chevy and Ford guys. So how did you become a Mopar guy? How did we become a Mopar family?
I worked at a truck shop, Reliable Truck Service, and they fixed truck tires, towed trucks, and they did mechanical work. And one day they had a small block Chevy outside they were getting rid of. I took it apart and brought it home and put it in my bathtub and tried to clean it.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah, I took it all apart.
What did Graham say?
No, I was with your mother at the time.
Oh, what did my mom say?
Wasn't happy at all. I mean, it scratched the porcelain up, grease all over the place and stuff like that.
Goodness.
I finally got it clean, boxed all up and everything. Then as time went on, I started hanging out downtown and stuff like that, watching the cars go by, and I liked those Mopars. Then I was going to Catskill, born at Catskill. We used to go every weekend to Catskill too, chasing the girls down there. And I ran into this guy, James Davis. He had a 69 Roadrunner. And this guy could shift. And I used to get up with him every weekend and just to go to Catskill to ride in that car on the weekend. Wow. He'd burn rubber from one end of the street to the other of the street, then go back down and cross it like a railroad track, crossing paths and stuff like that.
Wow.
Then we'd run down toward the point, he'd run that thing down there and slam it, slide it around and come on back up banging gears. He was something else, he was. Wow. And he was my idol, James Davis.
That's crazy.
I was supposed to get a brand new 69 Roadrunner when I got out of school, high school.
Okay.
I think maybe his was a 68, and I was supposed to get a 69. And
my favorite
that's when I got
time.
my first wife girlfriend pregnant.
Okay.
And the old man had us stand up, he's grilling us and everything like that, fell at the floors, going like this and this. Then he says to me, "Well, there goes your Roadrunner down the road." And I didn't say nothing. Later on, I ran into a 68 Roadrunner.
Yeah, buddy.
Right?
That's the one that
where I was
matters right
working
there.
at. And I said, I got to get this. Well, I hit the lotto for a few bucks, and I bought the Roadrunner.
That's how you got it?
Yeah, I hit the lotto.
I never knew
and
that.
I bought that Roadrunner. It was an automatic. It was a 383, but somebody had took the original engine out, put a 383 two-barrel in it.
Okay.
But it still had the 391 gears, had the dual exhaust on it, and it was automatic on the column with 727.
Yeah.
And I had that for a while, and I
Yeah,
played
I
with
know.
that. Then I got to the point where I couldn't afford it because I had the 2 kids, you and your sister.
Okay.
So when my younger brother Lenny, crashed George's 69 Swinger.
Oh boy,
right?
we heard about that.
I tried for Lenny, and I told George to take my Roadrunner and register it and drive it.
Oh.
So he was running the car back and forth. Then on the weekends, he'd bring it over to me because he's with Doris with her Camaro.
Yeah.
And I drive the Roadrunner on the weekends and stuff like that.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's how it happened like that.
So real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah,
Dad.
yeah.
But earlier in the interview, I was talking to Uncle Joe, and you're confirming everything that I thought I knew, but now I know. Like, our family is very unique in that it doesn't matter who has what in our family. If
Right.
we needed it, if someone needed something and we had it, we would just give it to them. Specifically you. You
Yeah.
would give whatever you had. I
Yeah.
remember watching, I can't even count the number of times that if Uncle George needed something, you just gave it to him.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like, it wasn't one way. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, where does that come from?
Well, see, I always worked around garages and stuff like that. And I worked for Kennedy's Garage.
Yeah.
I was a tow truck driver down there when I was young.
Mhm.
And cars would come in all the time.
Okay.
And Jocko was a mechanic down there. And he was into racing, oval track racing and stuff
Gotcha,
like that.
yeah.
And through there, I seen a 70 GTX come in there. I knew the car, the guy that owned it. He abandoned it by a gambling joint in Troy.
Oh, okay.
And the car ended up in Kennedy's Garage.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
So-
that.
The wheels started turning. So every night I would go out there, turn some bolts loose on it, get underneath it, jack it up a little bit, hook the torque converter, transmission, the exhaust, and all that stuff like that. So I got to the final stages. Then one Saturday night we were out there, me and the boys went out there with a tow truck, the wrecker, and lifted the engine out of there. And that's how I got that motor. And that was the same motor that was in that GTX that he blew up when he first got the car.
Oh, okay.
That was a 6-pack motor, 446-pack motor.
Okay.
But it didn't have the 6-pack induction system on it. It had the 6-pack rods and the offset balancer.
Okay.
It was the same thing. But at that time, when we took the other motor apart, I didn't know. We got rid of all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then when I seen this other one, I said, there it is right there.
Yeah.
I did some homework and research. This is it. And to this day, he still got that motor.
Yes, he does.
I know he does.
Yeah.
Like I told him, everybody says matching number motors. It doesn't really mean a thing. If the car is an original car, matching number or numbers car, right, the serial numbers and everything match on the car, you get a period year correct motor, you can go. If anybody wants it, they can take it. Take it or leave it. Sell it for what you want to sell it.
Yeah.
And they can do what they got to do. But there's a lot of number forging going on out there too.
Wow. So you got the Roadrunner. The car is my favorite car that you ever owned. And
Right.
you've had a lot of cars. I cried when you crashed it. I cried when you got rid of it. It doesn't matter. It's just water under the bridge. I cried when you got rid of a lot of cars. So
Yeah,
it's
we,
just kind
back
of par
in
for
the
course.
days, the technology wasn't like it is now.
Yeah,
Where you
yeah.
can get these cars and switch parts and stuff like that. We didn't have that kind of real access at the time.
Yeah.
If we did, we didn't have the knowledge.
Okay.
And that
Okay,
was it.
That
So-
makes sense.
And the cars were out there, so we knew we could always get another car.
So
and we did.
So how did can you clarify some things about the Dart that you mentioned about Uncle George crashing and then you gave him the Roadrunner?
Oh, he didn't crash it. Lenny crashed
No, well,
it.
yeah. Uncle
Yeah.
Leonard crashed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So what happened? Like what do you know about that story?
All I know is we were in my apartment drinking beer, I thought. And I don't know, somebody came up and said something to him about the car.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I know, he said, Lenny crashed the car.
Oh wow. And then
Because he was
bar-
going uphill somewhere or something on Thomas Street or something.
So what led to the details of us acquiring the GTX? And I say us because while Uncle George may have his name on the title, that car belongs to the whole Moses family.
Well, let me tell you the story of that GTX. After he had my car,
Yeah.
I was trying to get my car back. I was ready to play now at the time, right? Because he was getting comfortable with the car.
Okay.
The car wasn't fast, but it was a nice looking car, and it was it was a sturdy car and dependable. That
Okay.
motor would run forever. We used to take it up to see Cat when Cat lived up. Where do you live
Who's
at?
Cat?
Sam. Your Uncle Sam.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that your brother or?
My oldest brother. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where did he live at? Up toward Boston somewhere.
In Boston,
Yeah, we used to go up there and I used to ride in the
Springfield,
back
I think
seat.
it was, or something like that.
No, it wasn't Springfield.
No?
It was some other little town up that way.
Okay.
Anyway, we used to ride back and forth in that Roadrunner up there and stuff like that.
I know. I remember.
So now, I'm home, babysitting the kids, you and your sister.
Babysitting. How about
that's what I
taking
do.
care of us?
That's babysitting. I was supposed to be out in the street playing with the boys. But
You're
gotta
dad.
I had to be one. So that's what I was doing. I called it babysitting.
Oh
I was
my
taking care of the
God.
family.
I
I was
can't with
home.
you. I cannot with
And
you.
I kept hearing this. I said, that's a Mopar. I know the sound of it. I said, that thing sounds good. But whoever's driving it sure as hell can't shift it.
Oh boy.
Right? So, make the story short. A few days later, a knock comes on my door. Here's Lenny and his boys calling me out. Bring that Roadrunner out here. I got something to show you. I said, Lenny, you know George got the Roadrunner. Come on out here. He's got this GTX out there. I said,
okay.
Look at that fucking thing. So I said, I'm gonna get real nosy with the boys. Let's see what's going on. So I get over to start conning them around. But so let me drive the thing.
Oh boy.
So I get in it. It's got the air grabber on and all that, the 410s in it and stuff. I didn't know what it had in it, right?
No.
I know it stopped, but the thing sounded like it was ready to go. And I took it down the road, and I shifted that thing from first to second, and I fell out the seat. And the clutch was bad in that thing. The clutch was down low on the floor.
Yeah.
I said, Pop, they got a GTX over that bad thing. That joker is bad. I said, they don't know what to do with it. They're going to kill themselves or somebody else with it.
Mm-hmm.
King Pitt, well, he had Lenny driving around. They were terrorizing Troy with it, all of Troy.
Okay.
Had all around with him, showing off. Cops were stopping him all the time, you know, telling him to get the car out of town and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So now the boys figure it's time to get rid of it. So I got George's attention. The word is King Pitt's selling the car. I said, here's one you ought to get. I said, it's got the tips on it. It's got an A833 4-speed. It's got a 440. It's got an air grabber. It's a factory killer. It's a factory killer.
A bad money.
Now he comes over one day. It was on a Sunday. I guess him and Doris come back from Latham in the Camaro. So I'm on the corner where the GTX at, and he's coming by. I'm pointing to it, pointing to the tips.
Yeah.
He just turns his head and goes the other way. I said, that son of a bitch, right? So now we get back in the conversation again. So now the car comes up for sale.
Okay.
So his little mind must be thinking now, the wheels are turning.
Okay.
Maybe I better jump on that and get something to start with. I said, that car can bring its own value. Anytime you get it, want to get rid of it, you can always get rid of it.
Okay.
And get twice to 3 times as much as you paid for it. What you want to pay for it. So King Pitt wanted $1,500. And all George could come up with was $1,000.
Okay.
So I told him, I said, look, let's go over there with $1,000 and see what we can do with it. King Pitt, I don't know, he was in some kind of trouble. He was a drug dealer. You know, he'd run the streets. They were all doing that. So I said, talk to King Pitt. I said, we got $1,000. You take it, I want $1,500. I gotta have $1,500. I said, I tell you what, we'll give you $1,000 today, and next week we'll bring the other 5 over, but we're taking the car with us to check it out.
Yeah.
So he said, okay. He gave us the car, the title, and everything, right?
Oh wow. Okay.
So George, he lived in Schenectady.
Yeah.
So the car was in Schenectady. Now, has Lenny and them call him up. King Pitt wants the car back. So George calls me up. I'm just gonna bring the car. I said, don't bring the car back. Leave the car where it's at and just come on over here. We'll deal with King Pitt a different way.
Okay.
I had won some more money.
Okay.
And I had the money, the $500 that he needed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, what do you mean you want the car back? He said, yeah. He said, I need the car back. I said, well, here. I said, I'll give you 2 choices. Give us our $1,000 back right now. We'll go get the car. Or you take this $500, and if you don't take it, we're keeping the car, and that's it.
Okay.
So, cookie jar right up on the fireplace mantle, looked like to me. I look, there's all money in this thing, right? So George's little face went down, stuff. I can see the disgust in his face, right? So I'm watching King Pitt. I'm wheeling these dollars. I see the dollar bills. As an apprentice, you ain't never gonna get to 1,000 in a week with that jar, what you got in there. I said, those dollar bills. He got a card, right? So then he went on like that there. Then he threw it down. I'll take the $500. I said, that's the only way you're gonna get the rest of the deal with the car. Take it. We got the car already.
Yeah.
So he took the $500, and the car was ours.
Okay.
It was gone. But yeah, George wanted to bring the car back and give it to him. I said, nah, the car's in Schenectady. It's not even over here in Troy.
George wanted to break my heart.
I said, let's go call King Pitt out. He's calling us out. Let's call him out.
Okay.
Because at first he said, well, I gave these guys a chance to get the money, and you give me a chance to get the money. Yeah, go ahead. We're down here watching you. He's in that jar just flattening them out. There's all wrinkled up money in there, right? like he was trying to impress his girl or something. Like, I got all this money. Wasn't nothing in there but dollar bills.
Oh, wow.
Maybe a few 10s and a 20, but no big bills, you know?
Nothing to get to.
Nothing to get to $1,000. Not in the same week we was talking.
Okay.
So the deal went on down like that. King Pitt took the other 5. He licked his wounds and moved on.
So it's confirmed. Now I know the entire story.
But the thing I heard about the car too, King Pitt knew those guys. They were these white guys. They were I guess they were dealing drugs, smoking weed, drinking. They drink a lot of beer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they couldn't ride in that GTX doing that because they like to ride on the back of a pickup truck type thing.
Yeah.
And that El Camino King Pitt had was a pretty blue one.
Oh, okay.
It was full of Bondo though.
Okay.
But they didn't care. And I guess the boys saw that GTX in there, and Lenny knew what was going on. And Kingpin was just head moving around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I guess Lenny took over, and he said they gave him so much weed and I guess some money or something, or the El Camino. Some weed in El Camino.
Statute of limitations is up. I just want you guys to know my family does not deal in that kind of rhetoric or whatever. This was back in the 70s before I was born.
Well, you got to deal with the characters the way they deal. That's all. Don't mean you got to get involved in what they're doing.
That's true.
So that's what we did with them.
That's true. So Uncle Leonard had the knowledge of what that car was.
Oh, he knew the whole part. He knew
family.
because they're family.
Because,
right.
Is it safe to say that our family has always dealt in Mopars? Is that a fair?
It's a fair assessment. It's a fair assessment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Uncle Leonard being your younger brother.
Right. Hanging around us, he knew.
He's coming up under you and Uncle George and Uncle Sam, so he knows exactly what he's looking at and what he's dealing with.
And for the record, that first Plymouth I had was a 61 Belvedere, not a 62.
What? You didn't even let me ask you about that.
No,
okay,
there you go. I heard some news, and that car that Lenny had, what'd you say that was?
I thought it was a 65. It was a 67.
No, that's a 67. Right.
It was a 67. I was wrong.
67 Plymouth.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I bought that car for Lenny. And when I got that car, it was up where I lived at, up there by Riverview up there. It was on a side street.
Yeah, where we used to live.
And the coolest thing about that car, that back window had a stencil of the Grateful Dead on there.
Oh, wow.
I told Lenny, if you ever get rid of that car, save that window. You can get some money.
Yeah.
He let the thing go.
Wow.
But, it was a cool car.
It was back,
Yeah,
life
we were all
happens.
young. We were all
life
young.
happens. You do the best you can with what you got. I want that, so...
Like, I wish I'd have kept that Roadrunner.
I do too.
I tried to fix it, put fenders on and stuff like that, but then I got into the Challenger, and the guy was selling
Let's
the
talk
Challenger.
about that. How'd you come into the Challenger?
It was in the paper. He was selling the Challenger, sell it or trade.
Oh, wow.
And I went over to him, I had that Roadrunner.
Which one was this, the blue one or the black one?
The blue one.
Which year was that? What year was
73.
that? That was a 73 Challenger.
Yeah, 73. And so I took that and put a
Okay.
318. It didn't have no motor in it. Mine had a motor and was running,
Yeah.
but had a different front end on it.
Okay.
And like I said, that was a bad deal anyway. But I wanted a Challenger then.
So how'd you end up with the black one?
Roger Gardner, the crook that he was always getting involved in things. He ended up with that car somehow. I guess it came from Florida or something. He never had the title to it.
Oh, okay.
And we did some kind of deal, and I ended up with the car.
Oh.
Wasn't no big. I don't know if I gave him a dirt bike or something that I had, and he gave me the car.
So you're just a hustler, just a wheeler and a dealer.
It's all just playing with the guy, having a good time with him. So I had that too. I don't remember what I did with that car though.
It just disappeared.
It disappeared.
I don't know what happened to
A lot
that
of them
car.
disappeared.
I just remember it sitting in the back of the building with slicks on it and
The blue one had the slicks on it.
the super tricks on it, and I just wondered
Yeah.
like, what's going on with this deal? But it just kind of gone. But I want to ask about a car that probably outside of the Roadrunner and the GTX, probably the most memorable car in my life, the Farm Machine, 71 Demon.
We went out to the country.
I must have been
out
like
there.
4 or 5 years old.
It was in the winter time we bought that car. We went out in the country out there, and we was out there talking to the guy, and the guy didn't have the car there, and all of a sudden, I don't know if this is where they had the cow in the living room there, and the woman asked me if
They
I
had a
wanted
cow
some
in the
milk.
living room?
I think that was the one. We had the cow in there and stuff like that. Because I had beer buried out in the snow out there.
Oh,
so anyway, I heard this thing coming down, this thing tick. Wow, that thing sounds tough. It was a Farm Machine. It looked like some kind of a monster coming out of the dark and stuff like that. And that thing was cammed to the max. It had a 340 and 6-pack in it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
that's what it had, a 6-pack in it.
Oh.
And we wanted the motor.
Yeah.
Because I think, what was we going to do? Didn't Barn? No, we wanted the motor because we bought that motor for the Dart before it got crashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. We bought that motor, the car for the Dart and the motor, and the guy went for the deal.
Oh, okay.
And so we took it, had him bring it over to Troy, to Lloyd's place, down there on, I think it's 2nd Street.
Yeah.
Lloyd cut the motor out of the car, cut the pipes off and everything, and dragged it outside and left it there. We took the engine.
So how did we end up with the car then?
We brought it over there. We drove it over there.
No, so you guys just bought the engine, or you bought the whole car and the engine?
We bought the engine, but we had to bring the car over to get it, and the guy was going to pick the car up when we got the motor out of it.
Okay.
So we did, but we had fun with that thing.
Yeah, I know.
I tore the spline, or the yoke off of that thing.
Yeah.
Come to find out, it was a 6-cylinder car, and they put that 340 in there, and had a 6-cylinder rear end in it.
Oh.
That's what it was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it had that hot 4-speed and that powerful clutch in there.
Yeah.
That thing would go, too. That thing
I
would
just
never
remember
go.
going over the bridge from Waterville into Troy.
Yeah.
That's not the Congress Street. Is it Congress Street Bridge?
Yeah.
And I just remember peeing on myself in the back seat and not telling you because I thought I was going to get in trouble. And then a couple years later, Uncle George did the same thing to me in the GTX.
Right. Over here, something's got me confused. Joe wanted a Demon. Was that the farm machine? Oh, yeah, another one.
No, that was a farm machine.
We must have bought the whole thing. I thought we just took the motor out of that car.
No, because it ended up going to Uncle Leonard eventually. He ended up getting the car with no engine.
He got that other Dart.
That also, but he had the farm machine first, and then Uncle Joe confirmed the story for me, and Uncle Leonard confirmed it for me.
How this happened then? We took the motor out of the car, and the guy picked the car back up.
I guess I don't know.
Unless that was another Duster we bought or something.
It might have been.
Could be.
Well, I mean, you had
we only deal with them cars back and forth.
Whatever happened to the yellow Duster, the 318 with the 4-speed in it?
That was a 340 Alfetta Duster. Had the rag top that rolled back in the center. That was a rare car.
I know.
I knew the guy that had that car. And I put the 318 in there with the pistol grip in it.
Yeah.
But that was an original 340 car. Had a 340 and something. He blew the motor or something. Got rid of Scott over there. His father owned that gas station, Watervliet.
Okay.
And I bought the car off him. I should have kept that car.
So what happened? Why'd you get rid of it?
I don't remember. Things was happening. He was going through a lot of stuff, and cars were coming and going. I don't even know if I sold it or what I did with the car.
It just disappeared.
I didn't crash it.
No. Then you had another cool car, the 77 Aspen. I don't want to talk about that story.
That was a beauty.
But
I had that 70 Dodge Coronet too.
See, I wasn't born for that car.
Yeah, that was
I just know about it from the picture.
White interior.
Yeah, the gold one.
I wish I'd have kept that too. It was a 1-year car.
Yeah.
Could have put had a 318 in that with white interior. Could put a 440 in that.
Was it an automatic or a stick?
Automatic. Yeah. I bought that for your mother.
So what's your favorite? I don't care about the consistency. Do you like automatics or do you like manuals better?
I like a manual shit better, but depends on what I'm doing. For drag racing, I like automatic.
Yeah, well, we're different in that category. So I want to touch on real quick.
Yeah.
Because my channel's about manual racing. I want to touch on real quick your influence, because I never told you this, and I want to give you your flowers.
Yeah.
I want to give you your flowers. I consider myself to be one of the best stick shift drivers in the world, and that's arrogant and that's pompous, but I feel that way because I grew up watching you. I don't think you understand how bad of a driver you are. Maybe you do, but like you just always end up with automatic cars.
I was just playing.
But everybody in our family says it. That everybody in our family, everybody that I've ever talked to growing up says, if you want to know how to drive a stick shift, go and talk to Frankie Moe.
James Berry was a bad man with a stick shift too.
I guess.
I know.
I guess, but I just know that.
I'm just saying, I know.
I just know that I would bet a large sum of money on you versus many other people.
The cars that I run across just happen to have automatics in them.
I never understood that.
And sometimes you can't let them go for what they are.
Yeah.
Because it's like this car, this is an original Coronet RT, but it was automatic. And I wasn't about to let it go. And when I got the car had a Dana 60 in it with 354 gears that somebody in Texas put in there. And it had a 440, had the original motor, that one on the stand, which the mid 10-second motor in this car, will run 9s in a Duster or a Dart. That motor was in this car on the street. I mean, it was stock at the time, and it had a 76-pack set up on it, the cast iron one. Okay. And I gave him $3,500 for the car, and I sold the intake and stuff like that for $1,500, and it still got the same Dana 60 in it. Yeah. So, I got my money out of the car, and it was an original RT, and I didn't know that was the original matching numbers motor. That's the original motor that came out of this car from the factory. That's a WS motor stamped on the side of the block. Yeah. And like I said, this car has had a real easy life. I mean, except for drag racing, but I mean, I bought the car, I think it was in the 80s. Yeah, back in the 80s, and I must have ran it maybe a couple seasons. One night I was drunk and I was going up, coming around the curve, going up Spring Avenue, and I stepped on this thing and I fell out the seat. We didn't have to wear seatbelts back in them days. Wow. After that, I shut it down, and it was off the road ever since. How did you stop it from going anywhere if you fell out the seat? I was still holding on to the steering wheel. I slipped out the side. I had bucket seats in there. Oh, okay. And the console was right there in the middle. Okay, okay. Right there, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, we didn't have to wear seatbelts back in them days. Yeah, no. They weren't mandatory. No, yeah, it was a different time. After that, the car was off the road for years. Yeah. Matter of fact, I've been in this garage here for 20 years. You've been in this garage for 20 years? Over 20 years. Wow. Yeah, that's why I say time goes by. Yeah, I went by the other garages. I went by the one by Red Front, and then I went by the one
around the corner from the Taylor's that you used to go, where Pepper had. That one is really bad. That one is it's like that building's about falling down.
Falling down. It was rough back then.
That's crazy.
That thing was rough back then, but it served my purpose, you know, for the time being.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't want to brass mine now. But yeah.
Wow. That so you pretty much learned how to drive from the guy up in Catskill.
Yeah.
James Davis.
God bless him. He's dead now.
I never heard about that. I just thought you just naturally
had. He was a big Mopar guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he was getting them brand new back then.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He was an old pig farmer.
So how'd you meet him?
Everybody in Catskill knows everybody.
Yeah, that's
he grew up
true.
with my cousin Duke and him.
Okay.
And there's a bar down there. You always used to go to that bar down there.
Okay.
And he come down there with the car, and I see him, and I start talking to him. And next thing you know, we became buddies. He had me in the car with him every weekend. He knew I was coming down there. He'd wait for me, and I get in the car, we ride all weekend.
That's cool.
Just shifting, throwing gears, all kind of stuff. I see all kind of stuff down there. Oh yeah.
All right, Dad.
Those are the days in Catskill.
That's so cool. Like, I never knew that.
Yeah.
I never knew that story, and I try really hard to learn as much as I can about our family and the history of with Mopars. I find that fascinating. I find that fascinating because I'll be honest with you. I remember like it was now.
Yeah.
Riding in the GTX with you when Uncle George would be out of town or whatever. Well, for a little while, Uncle George gave you the GTX.
Yeah.
And I remember
that was a deal too.
I don't want to talk about that.
No, it wasn't bad.
No,
it wasn't bad.
It was bad because we don't have the damn car right now.
It's still in the family. It ain't going nowhere.
But I don't get to get it.
Here's the deal. Here's how it happened. We were talking one night and said, you know what? Let's build a drag car.
Yeah.
And we sell one of the cars. We decide which one we're going to sell. And it's all right. So he went to Texas. When he came back, he was in love. He met Janice, his wife, now.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to do nothing. So I just stepped out on my own.
Yeah.
But prior to that, what had happened before he was going to Texas, he was getting rid of the car. He was going to sell it to JoJo for $1,500. Wow. And that's when I had the Aspen RT.
Yeah.
And I told man, I said, you can't let that car go like that there. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll take the car and I'll give you this RT since you like automatic.
Yeah.
So he said, okay. So the car stayed back up here with this car. It was down my other garage down there.
Yep.
And we drove to Texas. He had that New Yorker.
Yep.
And I had the Aspen RT.
Yep.
And we drove all the way to Texas before we got to Texas. I forget where we was at. I don't know if it was Nashville or someplace like that. Something happened. A woman crashed in the back of a car, and I think George hit her, and I hit George, and the car hit me in the back and crushed the back end of the car. And like the car, it was down close to the ground.
Yeah.
We took a jack and pulled the quarter panel away from the wheel, and we drove it to Texas like that.
Wow.
And we got down there. He sold the car.
Oh wow.
I think we got over $1,000 for that car.
Wow.
Right? So I said, that was a clean car too.
Yeah, it was, I know.
And thing is, then he got back and I said, I want to play my own stuff here for a while, do something on my own and see what's going to cook. I always drove his car. He always financed everything, all the money and stuff like that. And I said, I couldn't let him get rid of that car. I had to make a sacrifice.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, Aspen RT, it was a nice looking car, but it was no car compared to a 70 GTX.
A 77 car that was made the same year I was born that I had high hopes for. But we're not going to, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Anyway,
I'm in my feelings right now on YouTube. I'm going to have to cut this out.
Anyway, like I said, he came back up here one day. We got into a big fallout argument about it.
Wow.
I tried to give him the car back. I wanted him to take his car back. Because I understood what had happened. The one that I gave him got wrecked. And I realized he had went and gotten married. Sometimes your mind goes a different way when you got these kind of cars. I know a lot of guys that had these cars. And they get married and got rid of them. Then I see these guys years later. I wish I still had mine.
Yeah.
I hear their stories all the time. And I didn't want him to be that guy.
Yeah.
So finally, he did take the car back.
Yeah.
But see, to me, here's the deal. The car was no longer any more fun to me when I had it. It was fun when he had it.
Really?
Yeah, when I was driving it, the finest, it was fun to me. When it was mine, it was no fun to me. Weird, isn't it?
We are not the same. I am his junior. I am his progeny. We are not the same.
Yeah.
If I ever get my hands on that car, it'll always be fun to me. It'll always be fun to me.
I had the car so many years.
Yeah.
Driving that car
I know.
year after year.
It was great.
Putting motors in it and clutches in there and all that kind of crap, brakes on it and stuff like that. So there it was. It was like my car then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like I said, then I got a chance to buy this car. I said, wow, there's one right there. I can play with this now.
How'd you come into this car? This
car came from Texas, had a Texas title on it. 18-year-old kid he bought it off of, I can't think of the guy's name. The guy had a business.
Okay.
He used to go down and get cars all over the place. He brought this back here. This car was B5 blue when it came up here. No, it was orange.
Okay.
They painted it orange, and when this guy got it, he took it to Swartz and he painted the B5 blue, which is the original color on this car.
Okay.
Okay? So this kid's riding around, and Kent knows us with the GTX, and Kent was in school with this kid.
Oh, okay.
And this thing had the 446 back in it, and them young boys out there bragging about how fast the car was and all kind of things. They was up there showing off by Troy High School and stuff.
Yeah.
And so Kent come down and told George about the car. So he said, bring the guy down here. So he asked me about it. I said, Barn, don't go spotting him. I don't know how that thing runs. It's a 440. He's got a 6-pack set up on it, and it's got a Dana in it. So I don't know. You know, I ain't worried about it. We had that 509 cam in that GTX then, you know. That thing ran hot. It was hot.
Yeah, it was.
And whatever happened, he spotted him. He said that car started getting away, and that GTX caught him on the big end and kept on going.
There you go.
So there it is right there. And then I come out of my house. I was living over here at Riverview.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's the car sitting on the lawn across the street from me. The kid and his father had the hood up. They were working on it.
Okay.
So I go over there, right? Started talking to the guy, see what's going on. He said, we're putting new wires on it, ignition wires on it. What happened? He said, my father changed the valve covers. He crimped the wire in there and started up and burnt up the wire harness straight to the bulkhead connector.
Oh, wow.
And they were putting all yellow wires through the whole thing. I said, oh boy. Then I said to myself, if those wires burnt on this side of that bulkhead connector, some of them burnt on the inside too.
Yep.
Right? So now, I go back, then I see for sale signs on it. So I get him down my garage down there, right?
Yeah.
So he said he wanted $5,500. I brought $3,500 with me. So I had $3,500.
Yeah. And
I sit him down. We sitting there talking. I said, I'll give you $3,500 for the car right now. I paid $5,500 for it. I still owe it. I said, you owe your father money. He told you to get rid of the car. You don't have a job. You can give him the $3,500, hold him off, get a job, then finish paying him off.
Yep.
And you're off the hook. And you got no more problems. I got the problem now. and I did, because like I said, this motor, that motor was smoked. And I took it out, took it apart, and had a score in the ring in the cylinder room.
Oh, wow, okay.
Right? So that's why I converted it to a race motor and had it board 55 over. I didn't want to go that far with the car, you know, because I was putting 915 closed chamber steel heads on it.
Okay.
And a small solid lifted cam. And the LY rods in with the beams polished, Bushford 990 Chevrolet pen, and the ARP bolts. Well, I busted up my foot at work.
Yeah. And
Lenny and the guys had the motor at Engine Technologies over there. So they said, well, he's going to race the car. No, one of the heads, the 915, it was a mixed match head.
Oh.
They didn't have both of them. They had two different ones.
Okay.
So he ended up buying stage 6 aluminum closed chamber heads.
Okay.
All right, so
that's the compression ratio right there.
Well, they milled the heads down 200,000. The compression, got then they said, we'll keep it under 14. Oh, it's 13.6 on that thing.
Yeah, that's a lot.
This is on a pro stop.
Yeah.
So now he said, well, let's change the cam. So they got an Ultradyne super stock roller and put in there. And then they changed the rods and put Child and Elbert top fuel aluminum rods in there. Dick Landy main bearing caps. Nitrite treated the crank, cross drilled it, indexed it, deburred it. And they put JE pistons in it. I got that goddamn thing. The bill was $20,000. I went in there, he told me that, my knees buckled out from under me. He said, we'll work with you. I said, how the heck am I gonna get that motor out of there? I said, I'm not even working. I'm out on disability. And they held on, I just give them a little bit at a time. And then when I got my settlement, I went over and got that joker.
Gotcha.
Put it right upstairs in the kitchen. Your mother's kitchen.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
She wasn't happy about that.
No, she's not happy about a lot of things.
I covered it up a little while, after a while, it kind of died down. She'd be walking past it. Now I got a car, I got a drag race motor. Yeah. Right? And then they put Dick Landy, Mopar Performance rocker arms, Smith Brothers push rods in there. Yep. And they put the Team G, they made their own spacer plates for the Stage 6 heads. Then they put the Team G intake on there, and I bought a Barry Grant H50 that flows 1080 CFM and put it on the car. Now I said, what am I gonna do with this thing? I had to buy headers for the car, hooker headers, put those on there, and Bud made the pipes. They were 3-inch pipes, and he made them from the header back to the Flowmaster mufflers. It had the turn downs on it. Yep. But the car sounded like it had no mufflers on it anyway. And I said, I gotta do something with the suspension. Now I said, them super stock springs ain't gonna do what I want to do now. So now the super stock springs go out, and Bud puts a ladder bar coilover set up in the car. First I had the 6-point cage in there. Yeah. Then after you got the ladder bar set up in there, the AVO shocks and the the drag race front shocks, the 6-cylinder torsion bars. Then I had to have the transmission done. I got an A&A race transmission, and I got a JW 4500 race converter for it, right?
Yeah.
Just popped it in there, and I didn't have any tires, so Virgil gave me a set that he had, 2912s, and I had 488 gears in the car.
That's a lot of
That's
gear.
a lot of gear for that little tire, too much.
Yeah.
So now, I'm running down there the first day out with the car. I didn't know how to drive the car with it, shift or nothing. I ran 1090s with it, right? Then I said, played around a little bit. I said, something ain't right. So I talked to Bud. He said, put the 10s in there. So I put the 4 10s in there, and the car ran faster, but it seemed like the car still had more in it, you know? So then I started playing around again. I says, you know what I'm gonna do? I'll call the transmission guy up down to Carolinas. I can't think of the name of that place. Anyway, he told me to send him the converter. He said, send me the specs on the motor, the weight of the car, what gear ratio, what tire size you're running, and I'll set the converter up for it.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going with 1331s, and I'm going up to a 456 gear. I think I was gonna go back to 88s, but I went to 56. And he cost me $500 to get that thing tuned up.
That's still a lot of gear for the quarter mile.
What, 56s?
Yeah.
Depends on how much motor you got. And tire size. You're carrying a lot of tire too.
Yeah.
I can come through at 6,800.
Okay.
But actually, if I was to race the car again, I would go with 410 gears again and a 29-inch tall tire.
There you go.
And have the converter set for that combination with that motor.
Yeah.
And see what's going on with it.
Yeah, you can do like a 29.5, 10.5W.
Yeah, it's a wider tire.
Yeah.
Because I had a 12-inch tire on there.
Yeah, you can put a 10.5W on a 12-inch rim.
Right. Well, I didn't have I had a 10-inch rim up on top of it. I had 12s on there with 1331s.
Gotcha.
With 12 with a 5.5-inch backspacing. But the car is mini tub. I had a mini tub too. And now, like I said, I got rid of the ladder bar setup. I got super stock springs on it. And you can only get so much tire under there.
Yeah.
10 inches, that's all I need for. I'm going.
That's true.
But the technology has changed, and now what I want to do is get the set of cow tracks with the monoliths and put them on there.
Yeah, that's a good
Because there's no back seat in there. I'm not carrying no passengers.
Yeah, there you go.
A little chick gets lucky, wants to go for a spin, I tell her to jump in. And that's it. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you
more
this, then we're going to finish the interview.
Oh, we just started, I thought.
No! I was trying to give you like 20 minutes.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, this car just now starting.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Out of all the cars
Yeah.
that our family has ever owned,
Right.
all of them,
Oh.
there's been a lot. Some iconic cars. Uncle Sam's
Super B.
Super B, the GTX, the Roadrunner, the RT, all the other ones that I don't even remember. The Farm Machine.
Yep.
What's your favorite one that we ever
I already told the boys a long time ago, the GTX is top of the line. That's the big dog in the family.
I agree.
I don't care
love
if one's faster than the other or not. That's the one that made the wheels start turning.
That's
the one.
That's the car that kind of created it all for us, I guess.
That's it.
That's the one that gave us the name in this area. I would imagine.
That car, the way that car came from the factory, it was hot. This car here did not have a Dana 60 in it. This is not a Hemi car, and it's not a 6-pack car.
Okay.
It's original 375 horse, which had an 8 3/4 it should have had in it.
Okay.
And how I figured that out, this car had right-handed studs on both sides. That's out of a 70. 69s had left and right-handed studs.
Oh, okay.
But a Dana is, you don't sneeze at a Dana if it comes your way and it's in the car.
Yeah, no.
So I left it there, you know?
Yeah.
And like I say, I got the original motor, and I got this other motor here built into a stroker. I'm thinking about it. I got the trick flow heads, the trick flow cam, the Harlem Sharp rockers, and all that stuff. I got a lot going on.
You do.
But right now, this is what's going on for me on the street. I'm having fun. I drove this all day yesterday. I didn't go to work yesterday. I cruised around all over the place. I was having a good time.
All right.
So, you know.
Well, I just want to thank you for the time and the interview.
I got all day.
I don't.
Oh.
I appreciate you.
This is
I love
exciting.
you.
Yeah.
This has been cool. This has really been cool. I learned a lot more about how you became who you were and how you got the skills that you had that I admire so much. And you really opened my eyes to some things. And I hope here really soon that I get to make a pass with my car in front of you, and I just want to see what that's going to look like. I just want
it's going to happen.
share that moment with you. So
we went to the track.
Yeah, that's not enough for
That's
me.
a start. You got to start somewhere. I had to start somewhere. I remember the first time I took this car to the track.
Yeah.
I took this car, had a 383 two-barrel with it, that I took out of a 67 Chrysler. I don't know how many miles is on it, but that was a good running motor. And with street tires on it, the first time I learned to drive this car turned 1510.
Yeah, I remember that day.
1510.
I do remember that
because
day.
it was, yeah.
All right.
1510s is a 10-second car if I put it back together the way it was.
Yeah, it would be. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this one.
Exciting, boys. Come on by anytime, boys. The door is open, and we drink beer and we party in here.
Oh my goodness, I can't even get it out.
Hey, that's it.
Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. I hope you guys have enjoyed this series that I put together about how I became who I am. You can see my dad's an absolute clown, but my dad's full of knowledge. I love you, Dad. All right, guys.
That's how we do it.
With that being said, 3-pedal J saying, rev it up, dump the clutch. Oh, wow, I can't even talk because you got me laughing.
Excited.
Rev it up, dump the clutch, grab a gear, disappear. Peace.
There it is.